A very good morning to you once again. You did mention that the state of the Nasrec station is somewhat good, albeit without cables. Of course, they're being the victim of cable theft, that particular station. Where are you now? Which station are you at now, and what is it looking like?
Good morning again, Marana. So we are at the Ellis Park precinct with Ellis Park and the Johannesburg Stadium around me. We talked about the 2010 FIFA World Cup, and of course this precinct was also important in the build-up and then obviously during that World Cup itself. And, connecting Johannesburg and Soweto, of course, was a very important part of the World Cup experience and the transport experience. Now, to talk to me about that and the importance of good transport, specifically rail infrastructure, to the planning of events is China Mashinini from the Gauteng Department of Sport, Arts, Culture and Recreation. He is the Chief Director today. Mr. Mashinini, thank you so much for your time and for coming all the way here. So first of all, we see this this precinct, we've talked about the FNB precinct as well. Just for good planning purposes for an event, how important is it to have a good transport system, and particularly the infrastructure for rail, given that it can transport people from here to Soweto?
Thank you very much and good morning. It is indeed correct to say that the public transport system really supports the sporting codes that we have in our province. It is unfortunate that the bulk or most of the sporting fans are placed a bit far away from our sporting facilities. So a good rail system assists in ferrying fans and commuters from the townships into the sporting facilities. The infrastructure investment that was done to host the 2010 World Cup really saw to very good infrastructure being put up in the province. And unfortunately, it is not easily accessible by the bulk of our fans in our country. So a good, strong public transport system is very important to ferry fans to and from the stadiums. And not only for that, because hosting sporting events is in two ways. It's twofold. One is hosting the events themselves, and two is in the development of the sports itself. So it is important that people are able to access the stadiums and the sports facilities also for training purposes, and to come and also view and watch when professional teams are also training. So public transport is indeed very important for sporting in the province.
And just finally, in terms of not having a proper rail network at the moment, how much of a disadvantage is it, especially for Gauteng, the economic hub, with all the planning around it? How much of a disadvantage is it to not be able to have a rail infrastructure as an option for transport when you're planning your events?
Well, having major competitive events and being unable to bring people to the events is a major disadvantage. Remember that sports is an economic sector on its own, and it's got to be self-sustaining in the revenue streams that it generates. So if you are unable to bring people to your sporting facilities, then hosting sports events becomes extremely difficult. So in infrastructure planning, rail becomes very important because, one, it is easy to access with the number of stations that we have.
Unfortunately, I need to interrupt you now. We need to go to a briefing at the moment. But thank you so much for your time, Mr. China Mashinini, who is the Chief Director at the Department of Gauteng Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation. Morena.
Right, thank you very much, Shoni. That is our reporter, Shoni Mtumkulu, out at Ellis Park for us.